Hey, stop what you are doing right now, because what I am about to share with you could be one of the most important pieces of health information you will hear this entire year. I am not saying that to be dramatic or to get your attention for the sake of it. I am saying it because there is something deeply important that most people over the age of 50 are not being told. Even more concerning, many doctors, including specialists who treat cancer every day, are still not having this conversation with their patients. And the reason is not that they do not understand it. It is not that the science is unclear. It is simply because what I am about to explain does not come in the form of a prescription, a pharmaceutical treatment, or something that can be packaged into a pill bottle. My name is Dr. William Lee. I am a vascular biologist, a cancer researcher, and an author. For more than 25 years, I have dedicated my career to studying what actually prevents cancer at the most fundamental level, inside the human body, at the level of cells, blood vessels, and biological systems that most people never even think about. Over the course of that research, something remarkable became clear. This is not based on theory, it is not speculation, it is supported by large-scale, long-term data. A landmark study conducted in 2022 followed more than 116,000 adults over a period of 28 years. What researchers found was striking. A specific category of daily habits was associated with a reduction in overall cancer risk of up to 61% in adults over the age of 50. Think about that for a moment. 61%. Not from medication, not from advanced medical procedures, not from experimental treatments, from lifestyle. That means the choices you make every single day, often without even thinking about them, have the power to dramatically influence your long-term health, including your risk of developing cancer. Today, I am going to walk you through the 5 most powerful of those habits. These are not random tips. They are not trends. They are evidence-based, biologically grounded practices that directly influence how your body protects itself. I am going to rank them from helpful to truly transformational. By the time you reach the end, you will have a clear, practical understanding of what you can start doing as early as tomorrow morning. But before we get into the list, there is something you need to know. The number one habit I will share later in this video is something that approximately 90% of people over the age of 60 are currently doing incorrectly. The research suggests that correcting this one factor alone could significantly reduce cancer risk, potentially by a very large margin. So it is important that you stay with me through all 5 habits, because each one builds on the previous one. They work together, not in isolation. Now, before we begin, I want to ask you something. Take a moment and think about this honestly. Has a doctor ever sat down with you and had a detailed conversation specifically about cancer prevention? Not just screening, not just detection, but actual prevention? It is a simple question, but for many people the answer is no. Now let us begin with number 5. Number 5 is something so simple that most people dismiss it immediately. In fact, many people underestimate it to the point where they ignore it entirely. And yet this one habit has a profound impact on how your body functions at a cellular level. I am talking about morning hydration. Specifically drinking between 16 and 20 ounces of water first thing in the morning, before you consume coffee, before you eat breakfast, and before you even begin scrolling through your phone. At first glance, this may not seem important, but once you understand the biology behind it, it becomes clear why this matters so much, especially as we age. After the age of approximately 55, the body undergoes a subtle but important change. Your ability to sense thirst declines. In other words, your brain becomes less accurate at telling you when your body actually needs water. This means that many adults over the age of 60 are chronically underhydrated without even realizing it. Studies have shown that this level of dehydration can range from 8 to 12% below optimal hydration levels. Now, why does this matter in the context of cancer? Because your body has systems that are responsible for removing waste, damaged cells, and potentially harmful materials. One of the most important of these systems is the lymphatic system. You can think of it as your body's internal cleanup network. It helps remove cellular waste, damaged DNA fragments, and other substances that, if left to accumulate, can contribute to inflammation and disease. But here is the key point. This system depends heavily on proper hydration. When you are not drinking enough water, This cleanup process slows down. Waste begins to accumulate, inflammation increases, and chronic low-level inflammation is now widely understood to be one of the major drivers of cancer development. Hydration also plays a role in a process called autophagy. Autophagy is your cell's natural way of cleaning themselves. It helps break down damaged components and recycle them before they can become harmful. As you age, this process becomes less efficient, but proper hydration helps support and maintain it. So what should you do? Keep a glass of water by your bedside. As soon as you wake up, drink it completely. Make this the first thing you do every day. If you want, you can add a small amount of lemon for flavor and additional benefits. And if you combine this with even a few minutes of light movement, such as walking around your home, you can further enhance circulation and support your body's natural detoxification processes. This is number 5. It is simple, but it is foundational. Now that we have established the importance of proper hydration as the foundation, we can move forward to the next layer, which builds directly on that base and begins to influence your body in a deeper and more complex way. Number 4 is something that has been quietly present in human diets for thousands of years. It is not new, it is not trendy, and it is certainly not a modern invention. In fact, it has been a central part of the diets of some of the longest living populations in the world. However, for a long time, modern Western medicine largely overlooked it. Today, that has changed dramatically. There are now more than 1,000 scientific studies examining its role in human health, particularly in relation to inflammation, immune function, and cancer prevention. I am talking about fermented foods. These include naturally fermented options such as plain yogurt, kefir, kimchi, sauerkraut, and miso. What makes these foods unique is that they contain live microorganisms, often referred to as beneficial bacteria, which directly support the health of your gut microbiome. Now, the gut microbiome is not just about digestion. It is one of the most important systems in your body when it comes to regulating inflammation and supporting immune function. In fact, many researchers now consider the gut microbiome to be a central control system that influences nearly every aspect of health, including the body's ability to detect and eliminate abnormal cells before they become dangerous. As you age, however, this system begins to change. After the age of 50 or 60, the diversity of beneficial bacteria in the gut often declines. At the same time, the lining of the intestines becomes more permeable. This means that substances that would normally remain inside the digestive tract can begin to pass into the bloodstream. Among these substances are compounds known as lipopolysaccharides, which are components of certain types of bacteria. When they enter the bloodstream, they can trigger a strong inflammatory response. This is important because chronic low-grade inflammation creates an environment in which precancerous cells are more likely to grow and develop. In simple terms, inflammation acts like fuel for disease. Fermented foods help counteract this process in several powerful ways. First, they introduce beneficial bacteria into the gut, helping to restore balance and increase microbial diversity. Second, these beneficial bacteria interact with the food you eat, particularly dietary fiber, to produce compounds known as short-chain fatty acids. One of the most important of these is butyrate. Butyrate plays a crucial role in maintaining the health of the colon. It helps strengthen the intestinal barrier, reducing permeability and preventing harmful substances from entering the bloodstream. But even more importantly, butyrate has been shown to influence the behavior of cells in the colon. It can signal damaged or abnormal cells to undergo a process called apoptosis. This is a natural and controlled form of cell death that allows the body to remove cells that are no longer functioning properly. Think of it as a built-in quality control system. Instead of allowing damaged cells to continue growing and potentially become cancerous, the body identifies them and removes them before they can cause harm. This is one of the key ways in which diet can directly influence cancer risk at the cellular level. Now, let us make this practical. To begin incorporating this habit into your daily routine, aim for 1 to 2 servings of fermented foods each day. This could be as simple as a serving of plain yogurt or kefir in the morning, or a small portion of sauerkraut or kimchi with lunch or dinner. The important thing is consistency. It is also essential to choose products that contain live and active cultures. Many commercially available products are pasteurized after fermentation, which destroys the beneficial bacteria. So when you are selecting these foods, look for labels that specifically mention live cultures. Now, there is a way to make this habit even more effective. You can pair fermented foods with what are known as prebiotic foods. Prebiotics are types of fiber that feed the beneficial bacteria in your gut, helping them grow and thrive. Examples include garlic, onions, leeks, asparagus, and slightly underripe bananas. When you combine fermented foods with prebiotics, you create a synergistic effect. The fermented foods introduce beneficial bacteria, and the prebiotics provide the fuel those bacteria need to multiply and function effectively. This combination significantly enhances the overall impact on your gut health and immune system. Now that we have covered number 4, let us move to number 3, where the science becomes even more dynamic and in many ways more visible in your daily life. Number 3 is something that almost everyone is familiar with. It is something you have likely heard recommended countless times. But what most people do not realize is that the way it is done makes all the difference. I am talking about walking, but not just any kind of walking. What we are focusing on here is a specific type of walking known as metabolic walking. At first glance, walking may seem too simple to have a meaningful impact on something as serious as cancer risk, but the research tells a very different story. The key lies in understanding how your body produces and uses energy. Your body primarily relies on two systems for energy: glucose and oxygen. Cancer cells, due to the way their metabolism functions, rely heavily on glucose. They are far less efficient at using oxygen compared to healthy cells. This creates an opportunity. When you engage in sustained, moderate intensity physical activity, such as metabolic walking, you influence both of these systems at the same time. First, you reduce the amount of circulating glucose in your bloodstream, effectively limiting the fuel available to cancer cells. Second, you increase oxygen delivery throughout your body, creating an environment that is less favorable for the survival and growth of abnormal cells. This dual effect is one of the reasons why regular physical activity is consistently associated with lower cancer risk. But there is more. As you age, your mitochondria, the structures inside your cells responsible for producing energy, begin to decline in both number and efficiency. This decline is closely linked to aging and the development of chronic diseases, including cancer. Metabolic walking has been shown to stimulate mitochondrial biogenesis, which means it encourages your body to produce new, healthy mitochondria. In simple terms, it helps restore your cell's ability to produce energy efficiently. Now let us talk about how to apply this. Metabolic walking means walking at a pace that elevates your heart rate to a moderate level. You should still be able to speak in full sentences, but it should require some effort. If you can sing comfortably, you are not walking fast enough. Aim for 30 to 45 minutes of continuous walking, at least 5 days per week. If possible, do this in the morning, ideally before your first full meal. This enhances the body's ability to use stored energy and further reduces circulating glucose levels. There is also an additional benefit to walking outdoors. Exposure to natural sunlight in the morning helps regulate your circadian rhythm, which is your body's internal clock. This rhythm influences sleep, hormone production, and immune function, all of which play a role in cancer prevention. When you combine metabolic walking with proper hydration and a nutrient-rich diet, you create a powerful foundation for long-term health. And this brings us to the next level, where nutrition begins to interact directly with your genetic and cellular defense systems. Now we move into the two most powerful habits on this list. Number 2 focuses on a specific group of foods that contain compounds with remarkable biological effects. These are cruciferous vegetables. Examples include broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, cauliflower, and especially broccoli sprouts. These vegetables contain a compound called sulforaphane. Sulforaphane plays a critical role in activating protective pathways in the body. One of the most important of these is a system responsible for detoxification and DNA repair. When activated, this system helps neutralize harmful substances, reduce oxidative stress, and repair damage before it can lead to mutations. However, there is an important detail that many people do not realize. Sulforaphane is not present in its active form until the vegetable is chopped or chewed. This process activates an enzyme that allows the compound to form. Heat can destroy this enzyme, which means that overcooking these vegetables significantly reduces their benefits. To maximize their effectiveness, chop them and allow them to sit for a period of time before cooking lightly. Alternatively, consume them raw in the form of sprouts. Now we come to number one, the most impactful habit of all: sleep. Not just any sleep, but high quality, consistent, restorative sleep. During deep sleep, your body performs essential repair processes. It clears waste, regulates hormones, and supports immune function. One of the most important substances produced during this time is melatonin. Melatonin is not only responsible for regulating sleep, but it also acts as a powerful antioxidant. It supports immune cells that identify and eliminate abnormal cells. As you age, melatonin production decreases significantly. This makes proper sleep even more important. Poor sleep disrupts these processes and weakens your body's ability to protect itself. To optimize your sleep, maintain a consistent schedule. Keep your sleeping environment dark and cool. Avoid screens before bed, and allow your body time to wind down naturally. Adults who consistently get adequate, high-quality sleep have significantly lower rates of disease and better overall health outcomes. Final closing. You are not too old to make a difference in your health. Your body still has the ability to repair, adapt, and protect itself. These 5 habits are not complicated, they are not expensive, but they are powerful, and every single day gives you a new opportunity to begin. Now ask yourself, which one will you start first? And what is the biggest obstacle standing in your way? Your answer to that question may be the first step toward meaningful change.